think there's not much that takes precedence over Poppy, but it is right here. This is a tornado warning for portions of northwest Worcester County, as well as extreme northwest Middlesex County as well. As we take a closer look right here, you can see the Doppler radar indicating rotation inside the thunderstorm. So you've got some greens and some reds close together, and so that is the concern here with this storm, is the fact that we do have a tornado warning in effect for portions of northwest Worcester County. That is in effect for about it just got issued with moments ago. So again, you folks in northwest Worcester County, this will be the concern here as we show you the activity moving from southwest to northeast. And you can see as we take a closer look, the concern is going to be with the storm that's got rotation near Athol, and this continues to move off to the north and east. As we put this into motion here, you can see as we cycle this through, it's just coming out of Franklin County and now moving into northwest Middlesex County. This is a tornado warning for portions of Worcester and Middlesex County. That is in effect until 4:15 this afternoon. This is what we call a radar-indicated tornado warning, meaning that we don't have confirmation of a tornado, but what we do have is the Doppler radar showing the rotation, where you see the green here up against that red, just to the southwest of Athol here, basically just to the south of Route 2. So it's northwest of Petersam, and it's to the southwest of Athol, but I would be concerned right here in the Athol area, in particular, within the next 5 to 6 minutes, as this thunderstorm, which is displaying rotation. Now, the rotation's fairly high up. It's up about 7,000 feet up inside the supercell thunderstorm. And so it's possible that that rotation has since worked down to the ground. So that's why the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for this portion of northwest Worcester County. We will go ahead and put a storm track on here for you. And again, it's going to be in the area just to the southwest of Athol. So Athol, again, start executing your safe plan when it comes to tornado warnings, which would be the lowest interior room of your dwelling. If it's an apartment complex or a multi-level complex, you want to get down into the lowest level. Basement would be the best, but for example, an apartment complex, you might not have that option. And so from there, the laundry room is probably your next best bet, or interior rooms such as a bathroom. So again, Athol, 6 minutes away. Baldwinville, this continues to move off to the northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, so at about 17 to 18 minutes. Winchester, 23 minutes. And if it holds together, then we're talking Ashburnham in about 31 minutes' time. It's going to be, I think, a volatile afternoon, folks, across southern New England. The last few days, it's been more about the heat and only the heat. But, the problem today is that we have... it's kind of like a dry line in Texas. You have interaction of some wind speed passing through these thunderstorms. And so that's the concern, is that some of these thunderstorms already have been displaying rotation. So I'm taking in for a closer look right here. Orange, Athol, right there, I would be concerned possibly just near Orange as this continues to move off to the northeast at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. Again, if you're just joining us, tornado warning. You can see right here at the bottom of the screen, tornado warning for parts of Franklin, Middlesex, and Worcester County. I'm not worried about the city of Worcester right now. I think it's going to stay well to the north of Worcester, so this would be focused more toward the northern portion of the county along the Route 2 corridor. So Orange, Athol, Royalston, Baldwinville, Wingenton, Templeton, perhaps Phillipston, and Gardner. We'll see what Gardner is a little bit to the east-southeast of that cell at this time. But that's certainly where we have the concern right here for this tornado warning. We'll take you in for a closer look here. So there is the warning. I'll just zoom back out. So there's the city of Worcester. So Worcester, the city of Worcester itself, you're fine. No issues right now in the city of Worcester. It's basically just to the northern third of Worcester County, and the red polygon, the red outline there, that's where we have the tornado warning. That's in effect until 4:15. As far east as Townsend as well as Leominster. So if it gets out here and it's still holding together, that's why we also have portions of extreme northwest Middlesex County. So it's just a little sliver of northwest Middlesex County. But again, tornado warning in effect, just now exiting Franklin County, coming through northwest Worcester County, and if it holds together, and it's possible that it could because there's not much in the way to knock this cell down, then we would be concerned about northwest Middlesex County as well. Looks like right now I would be concerned basically up along the Route 2 corridor. You can see the road symbols right here. You've got Highway 32 coming out of Athol, Route 2 as well. There is orange right there. So right along, perhaps just south of 2A, as that takes you into Templeton and Gardner. This is where we do have the concern of a possible tornado. When we show you the rotation, you can see here that you've got a pretty solid signal. This is actually a little bit stronger than what we saw the other night up in New Hampshire for that tornado warning. So when we take you in right here, again, when I show you the velocity data, you've got the green here and the red, so that's indication that you've got some kind of a circulation happening inside this supercell thunderstorm at this time. Just to the north of 122, State Road 122, and then there's Route 2 as well, the Route 2 corridor, which we reference so often with our snow maps. But today we're going to use that as a reference point for a possible tornado. You can see here, Orange and Athol in particular, just to the south of Route 2. That's where we have a bright green and a bright red signal indicating the rotation as that continues to slide off to the east-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So again, just tuning in, tornado warning until 4:15. Josh, are you wired up as well? Are you seeing anything different?
I am wired up. Been watching chat, and there's nothing new aside from what you've been saying, JR, of the velocity becoming quite a bit tighter. So still radar indicated at the moment, but radar certainly pointing to that signature.
Yeah, so that's that is the concern. That's a fairly robust signal. Now, what's not quite known at this time is the fact is if this is do we have a confirmed tornado or just, it was issued based on Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. So the radar is going up into the cloud and it sees the rotation occurring right there, that little pixel there, that bright green and that bright red right there. That tells us that there is a little pocket, a couplet, if you will, of a rotating thunderstorm. So this is a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. Just to the south of Athol and just to the southeast of Orange. That is the concern that I have right now for a possible tornado as this continues to move off to the east-northeast at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. Executing your safe plan, you're going to want to get to the lowest interior room in your dwelling. You know, if it's your house, your basement is your best guess, or your best option. And then from there, if you're in a multi-level establishment, you know, as apartment complex, get down to the lower level, laundry room, or if you still have a basement in the apartment complex, that also would serve you well. And stay away from exterior walls as we are dealing with a volatile thunderstorm, possibly producing a tornado. Again, radar indicated tornado warning, portions of Franklin County, although I think the most severe portion of the storm is just now exiting Franklin County. So it's pretty much focused in the northwest corner of Worcester County. And if it holds together on this east-northeast trajectory, then we would be concerned next up toward Templeton and Gardner. But right now, Gardner, no imminent concern, but certainly stay with us because in the next 10 to 15 minutes, this might be something that continues to traverse Route 2 and then maybe cross 140 between Winchton and Westminster up in northern Worcester County as that continues to head off to the east-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Josh is moving the Doppler radar farther out just to give you a wider perspective of what you see going on here. So there, he's going to put a storm track on for us. So Athol, it's on you right now. Baldwinville, if it holds together, 17 minutes. Gardner, about 24 minutes. And then perhaps Ashburnham at 34 minutes. And Ashby, 45 minutes from now. That would be right out at the edge of the cone of concern, so to speak, for this possible tornado. I don't know if we have anyone out at the news desk. You know, Jay and Brandon, if you guys can make some phone calls to Northwest Worcester County Dispatch and see if we have what's going on up there, if we have any confirmation of anything on the ground, any damage reports in the Athol area. That's where I would be focusing my attention right now, in the Athol area in particular at this moment.
If you're driving down Route 2 right now, this is something that's going to be obviously something you see ahead of you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you're on Route 2 West, there's certainly a nasty looking storm cloud as you're leaving Gardner and heading toward Athol. And so you can see it right here as we zoom out. So that, for perspective, this is a more traditional radar scope of what we show you here. This is the traditional colors, so to speak. So you can see the thunderstorm kind of wrapped around in this fashion right here. It almost has that little, that classic hook setup in the atmosphere. And this is what we call a radar indicated tornado warning for this portion of northern Worcester County as that continues to move off to the east-northeast at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. So right now, I would be concerned about Athol and Winchendon, obviously, and Gardner, and possibly Ashby as well as Leominster here. Right now, though, the primary concern is going to be in the Athol area. This is where I do think we've got, the cell that certainly is showing rotation. If we can take you back in here.
If
yes.
you can hear me, yeah.
Of course.
Just to be clear, for the folks that are inside of that tornado warning, should they be seeking shelter right now? And just to let people know just how dangerous this is, it is radar indicated, but that doesn't mean that one could sort of drop out of the sky, right? And you only have seconds?
Yeah, that's the concern. We don't exactly know if this is something that's on the ground. Radar indicated is showing us just this, what you see here, this rotation. And so it's moving on in this fashion here. So, if you're watching us from Phillipston and Templeton and Gardner, obviously Athol right now, Baldwinville, all these communities that you see here on the screen, and if you're near them, if you know somebody that is near them, this is under the tornado warning. So this is where you need to execute your safe plan. Lowest interior room. Stay away from the exterior walls of your house or your apartment. Basement is the best. If you don't have a basement, then again, the bathroom, which is usually found in the interior room of an apartment complex or even a single-family home if you don't have a basement.
Reports now from Skywarn here about trees and wires down in Montague, if I'm saying that right, Wendell, Irving, and Warwick, Mass. And they're monitoring for reports of wind damage and hail in the area through northern Worcester County. So they're looking right now at the Wendell area, the Warwick area for trees, wires down. This is some initial reports coming in from Skywarn right now.
Okay, so Wendell, in fact, we had a tornado out in Wendell years ago. So Wendell would be just to the southwest of Orange here. So if we have damage reports there, it's hard to know for sure if it's straight line wind damage or cyclonic or convergent damage, tornadic damage. Not exactly sure. But this is the community of Wendell right here, Montague just to the west-southwest of that. And so that path, you can see here now where the brightest greens and the brightest reds are, the storm motion is basically from just south of Orange near Wendell and then now moving into northwest Worcester County. So that is the concern. This is a radar indicated tornado warning. Let's see if I can get some wind speeds on here. Josh, is Josh can someone open up Josh's mic?
Yeah, just to add to your point of whether the winds are rotating or not, the Orange Airport gusted up to 60 miles an hour, and that was measured at the airport. So winds are strong, whether they're going in a circle or not, and now starting to see some damage reports come in from the area with tree limbs and stuff.
Okay, so now we have another community that is reporting wind damage for sure. So even if it's not tornadic, it still is capable of damaging wind. Velocity data here, the negative indicating that the wind is heading toward the radar site way down in Taunton, and then the positive here is indicating that the wind is moving away from the radar site, heading up into New Hampshire and Vermont. So when you have these negative and positive so close to each other, you have this rotating signature right here. So this here, again, when you add up the numbers, you take the absolute numbers and wipe out the negative sign there, you've got 54 miles per hour. So it's a signal. It's nothing that I would say is, EF 2, 3, 4, or anything like that, but it is possible that we are talking about a funnel cloud or perhaps now a tornado in those communities up across portions of northwest Worcester County. As this continues to move off to the northeast, east-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. We'll just reset the decks here for you. Again, tornado warning in effect for portions of northern Worcester County. This does not include the city of Worcester. If you're watching this from the city of Worcester, you're okay. If you're watching us in Worcester County south of the Mass Pike, you're fine. It's basically primarily right up in northern Worcester County, right along the Route 2 corridor. We use that reference a lot with our winter storms, but it's going to work just fine for this particular storm here. This thunderstorm complex, this supercell complex, that is showing rotation. So the red that you see right there, that's the tornado warned polygon. So that does include, obviously, Athol right now. Josh mentioning that storm damage out in the orange area with the wind gust. What was that? Over 60 miles per hour?
260 miles an hour.
Up to 60 miles per hour. Wingenton and Gardner and Templeton and Hubbardston and perhaps Leominster as well as this continues to move off to the north and the east. So Josh is plotting out a cone of concern, if you will. In fact, what we've done here now is we've really taken the polygon and kind of even made it even more of a concern where we think that we've got the rotation in the possible tornado. Again, tornado warning until 4:15. So Gardner, it's about 18 minutes or so. Ashburnham, about 28 minutes away. Fitchburg, 38 minutes. And Lunenburg, again, this assumes as you get out toward the tail end of this polygon here that it's holding together. So Pepperell is possible. If you're watching from Pepperell right now, I think you're okay at this moment, but we're just going to primarily focus on portions of northwest Worcester County. Let's see if we can take you in here and get in really tight. So Athol, Phillipston, Templeton, Baldwinville, these would be the communities in particular, right on Route 2A. This is the area of concern here. You can see that classic hook that we talk about, how it's just kind of bent around. And that is a signal that we look for when trying to diagnose if this is a possible tornado. Again, this is what we call a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning, where the Doppler radar is seeing the rotation, and the rotation is strong enough that we have to be concerned that it's producing a tornado. Sometimes you can have a fair amount of rotation inside of a thunderstorm, and then it never materializes, and other times it does. It's one of the last mysteries of meteorology, tornado genesis. And so it's possible here that we are indeed dealing with a tornado that's on the ground versus just rotation up in this cloud. But as Ryan and Josh both have contributed here, reports of some damage in Montague, which is to the south of Northfield. Montague is up in Franklin County, as well as Wendell. That's up in northeast Franklin County, and now moving just to the east of Athol. So it would be right on 2A, east of 32, that I would have the concern here as this continues to move off to the north and the east. Let's see what else the velocity data is doing. It does seem like it's obviously there is still a signal there between Phillipston and Templeton. Baldwin here, Phillipston behind her banner right there. So right on 2A to the west of Gardner. If you're watching us from Baldwinville, if you are watching us from Gardner, good idea to start, hunkering down because we do have a possible tornado that's just to the west of both of these communities. It's just to the north of Phillipston as that continues to move off to the east-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Tornado warning in effect for portions of northern Worcester County. Right now, we're just focused in northern Worcester County. Northwest Middlesex County also does have the tornado warning, but in terms of the next, 10 to 20 minutes, I'm not worried about Middlesex County just yet. We're just focused on basically northern Worcester County. You can see here, there's the Route 2A, which splits off of 2, as that continues to move east-northeast at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. Josh.
Not much to add, JR. National Weather Service just said that they're going to keep the tornado warning going. Obviously, like you've been showing, still plenty of rotating signs there on the velocity, so they're going to continue it, but also been monitoring some of the storm reports from the other cells across the area, and a lot of them have been producing large hail, measured up to 1.5 inches, which is ping pong ball sized hail, the ones that slid through southern New Hampshire earlier. So obviously this one a big concern with the tornado warning, but also these cells have been producing, like we talked about at the Orange Airport, the gust up close to 60 miles an hour, and then also 1.5 inch diameter hail or ping pong ball sized hail. Not just radar indicated, that's confirmed and measured by some of these cells in the past. So,
did the Weather Service say anything about any damage reports that may, or other than what Ryan said about Montague and Wendell?
Echoing the echoing the Wendell and Irving reports of trees and wires down, but that's the only damage reports coming from the National Weather Service so far.
Okay. Okay, we stick with it. So again, tornado warning in effect until 4:15 for portions of northern Worcester County, extreme northwest Middlesex County. If you're watching this from the city of Worcester, you're not in this warning. You're okay. This is not a storm that's diving southeast toward the city of Worcester. If you're watching us down through, the Blackstone Valley, it's okay as well. It's basically just northern Worcester County in particular for this thunderstorm complex that is generating some locally heavy rain, possibly some quarter-sized hail, some large hail, frequent lightning, and of course the biggest concern of the moment, obviously, is the tornado warning, possibly producing a tornado. This is a radar-indicated tornado warning where the Doppler radar is going up inside this thunderstorm, and it's detecting enough rotation where there is concern that, way up inside the thunderstorm, where the radar beam goes up into the thunderstorm, and it sees rotation up at the middle portion of the thunderstorm. And what we don't quite know just yet for sure is if that rotation has worked its way out of the base of the cloud. Until we can get confirmation from either sky-warned spotters or perhaps emergency management law enforcement up through portions of northern Worcester County. So the worst is clearing Athol at this time. I think if you're watching us from Athol, I'm no longer concerned for this cell that is moving through. The concern I have is obviously just to the east up toward Baldwinville. And looks like north of Phillipston. If we can just move that up there a little bit, get that crawl right there. What are they?
Another damage report coming in that Route 2 westbound is blocked in Irving with trees down. So certainly a lot of wind coming, whether that's...
So like Irving is going to be, Irving is back just north of Wendell.
Yeah.
So that's in northeast Franklin County.
So yeah,
so
Route 2 there is completely blocked by trees down.
That would be over in here, trees down. Okay, so that's, it's sounding like it is a tornado, or at least it was when it came through Wendell and Irving. It's hard to know exactly for sure at this moment, but we've got to treat it like it is a tornado still occurring in northern Worcester County. So Phillipston and Baldwinville in particular, just to the north of, looks like Templeton as well, and Gardner. So Baldwinville, Templeton, Gardner, these are the communities, the city that I'm worried about right now. Basically, between Route 2 and 68 here, that connects Baldwinville, it would be that little corridor right there where we do have concern for a possible tornado with this thunderstorm. Again, tornado warning for portions of northern Worcester County. That's in effect until 4:15. Franklin County, I think we can take that out now in this lower third. I don't know if that's possible. I think we're good in Franklin County because the cell has exited Franklin County. And so we're just going to focus on northern Worcester County. And Middlesex County, it's in the warning, but just for reference for Middlesex County, out toward Ashby, you're okay right now. You are under the tornado warning up in the Ashby area. But in terms of the cell itself, where we think we've got rotation, that's still way back over here. So there, just for reference there. So there's Ashby, and then here we are right here. Now moving east of even Athol. So I think we're okay there. But it's going to be Phillipston, Templeton, Baldwinville, Gardner, and Winchendon. Those cities and towns. Execute your SAFE plan. That would be interior room, the lowest interior room. If you have a basement, that'll be great. If not, then if you're in an apartment complex, a multi-level, for example, the laundry room or bathroom is a good spot to be. Again, lowest interior room, away from exterior walls, because that's where the wind is exposed or hits the most when these wind events come through, whether it's straight line wind or tornado. Obviously the wind hits the exterior wall of a dwelling. Anything else to add over there? No. I was looking at TJ's eye instead of yours, Josh.
I got nothing. I have nothing to add.
Okay. All right. So you can see here. Let me see if I can get the velocity in there.
JR, I just wanted to weigh in the importance of why we stay on the air when we have a tornado warning. Because that is a dangerous situation for the people who are in the path of that storm. I know it does not affect everyone in our viewing area, but these are the moments where it really matters if there is a tornado on the ground, that looming danger and a warning, not just a watch, is right there. It could be seconds away. And tornadoes can be very deadly. It can be very dangerous. And so we do stay on the air until those warnings expire, and that's what we're doing now as a help to the public. And that's why JR and Josh watch the data and just update you second by second. So we know that for some folks, interrupts the other coverage that we would normally have on the air right now. We apologize for that, but it is a safety to the public that our meteorologists and JR, the chief meteorologist, is watching this very closely. JR, just because it is a dangerous situation, and so we have you here to let everyone know second by second what's happening until that danger clears.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to interrupt Big Papi on his big weekend. If you're living in Boston or the South Shore and you're looking for a way to avoid the heat, and you're saying, "I don't care about this," but maybe it's you next time. And so that's the concern. We have to kind of serve everyone here in our viewing area, which goes from basically the Monadnock region all the way out toward Nantucket Sound. So that's our challenge right now in the short term. Again, it's this tornado warning for portions of Middlesex and Worcester County. It does not include the city of Worcester itself. It's safely north of there. It won't be diving down. It's not a right mover. Sometimes you see with the monster supercell storms in the southern plains where they move against the mean flow. So the mean flow today is something like this, and then a right mover would be a storm that would dive down to the south. This is not that day, but this is a day that is a lot of volatility in the atmosphere. It's very hot, it's very humid, and there's just enough wind energy passing through these thunderstorms that is rotating the thunderstorms in such a fashion that it's probable that we have a tornado based on the wind damage reports back toward Montague, as well as Wendell and Josh noting that out toward Irving, Route 2, westbound closed because of numerous trees down. And so this likely is a cell that's producing certainly wind damage and most likely tornadic. At least it was back across portions of Franklin County. So that's why we're on here for extended coverage here. So Templeton and Baldwinville in particular, looks like it's going to pass just over the north side of Gardner. Maybe you're seeing that right now. You're hearing your sirens. Your phones are going crazy. This is why right here, again, we have a tornado warning for portions of northern Worcester County. I'll just give you some perspective here and show you the warning as this continues to move off to the east-northeast at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. A larger view, again, you can see that it's just this one cell right here. You've got nothing in the metro. There's Worcester, by the way. So if you have rain occurring right now in Worcester, this is completely detached from the supercell. So if you're saying, well, it's raining right now in Worcester, where's that tornado? Nowhere near the city of Worcester, and it won't be. This is going to stay well to the north of that. This continues to head up across northern Worcester County. It looks like Wingenton and Templeton and Gardner in particular.
Storms in the Boston area here? Are we going to get any kind of storms in the metro area, the Boston area today?
Well, this particular cell, no. And so you're saying, well, what about in general? I probably would lean on the answer of no in Boston. I don't know how you define area. Some folks might think, well, Methuen is the Boston area, or Rockport. But how about we just call it inside 128? I don't know if we'll have anything inside 128. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for much of southern New England away from the coastline. That's till 8 o'clock this evening. And so this is an event where I think we have a few isolated strong and severe storms. It's not quite like all of the tropical storms we had last year, which just were peppering us with tornado warning after tornado warning. We have what we call a little trough of low pressure moving through. And it's actually behaving more like a Texas dry line, to be honest with you, because it's attempting to knock out the high humidity of New England. It'll do that tomorrow. It'll still be wicked hot, but it won't be as humid, if that's any help for you. But in the meantime, this moving process of trying to move the humidity out is leading to these isolated thunderstorms. And the storms, because it is so hot and humid, it's like rocket fuel. I mean, they just growing up into the sky with such ease. And so once they get to the higher levels of the atmosphere, there's a lot of wind energy up there today. And so, excuse me, because of that, that's where we do have that tornado warning, that localized cell.
We are seeing some Video on social media here from Skywarn, some quarter-size hail in Athol coming down right now, or did come down. So some videos being put out there by Skywarn of quarter-size hail in Athol.
Have you seen any funnel cloud or
Nothing yet.
Twitter is pretty good about feedback there.
Nothing yet.
Okay. All right, so here we go. So this is continuing with the same warning, but the good news, if you're watching us from Athol, you can see right on the screen right there on the edge, we've cleared Athol out of the way. So now we just focus on this portion of Worcester County, which Gardner, Winchton, Ashby, Lunenburg is in the warning, and it's certainly something to be mindful of. But right now, I think the most immediate concern is going to be just to the north of downtown Gardner, maybe just on the northern outskirts of the greatest concentration of Gardner right there, as that continues to move off to the east, northeast, at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Let's see if we can. Route 140. That would be a concern that I would have at this time. Right here, connecting 12 down into the city of Gardner, and eventually that would 140, if you're familiar with that, that continues all the way down through Worcester County. So this red coloring right you see here and some pink, indicating that we probably have some large hail occurring under this portion of the supercell. This is where we probably have, I would say, quarter-sized hail. That's probably what we're seeing here, that hail core continuing to align with these colors right here. So some very large hail occurring within this storm just to the south of the center of Winchton and just to the west of Ashburnham. As this continues to head off to the east and the northeast. Again, if you're just watching us, this is a tornado warning that is in effect for portions of northern Worcester County until 4:15, and just a little sliver of Middlesex County, which does include the community of Ashby. So we're going to watch this for you folks up in the Ashby area. Again, this is a storm that is continuing to move off in that direction. That's why the Weather Service has put northwest Middlesex County under that tornado warning. Let's see, get some velocity data here. Josh, feel free to hop in if you have or see anything.
Yeah, actually, I was going to, talk, if you go up by Ashby, that little couplet up there looks like it's tightening up a little bit. Weather Service hasn't been concerned about it, but it flared up for a second. Now it looks like it's maybe not. But I was watching that and just got a whole list of some damage reports that came in. Royalston, trees down and wires down on Warwick Road. Quite a few damage reports from Franklin County in the Wendell, Montague, Warwick area. Orange Airport, like we talked about, wind gusts of 60 miles an hour. It looks like a lot of the damage reports so far we're on the edge of Franklin County when we were talking about the Irving area. Plenty of trees and poles down, orange, and that's the damage reports that have come in so far. But at a minimum, the storm obviously has a history of producing damage, and hail and those sorts of things have been reported even in eastern Franklin County, and that's obviously the same storm. So it has a history of producing damage. Obviously, if it's over a certain area right now, we're not going to get immediate confirmation of damage reports, but certainly has a history of doing it.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that little couplet up near the Mass-New Hampshire border. I wonder how National Weather Service Gray feels about that, because they're about to do a handoff here.
Yeah,
they'll hand over responsibility literally across the state line.
Yeah, I've been watching the chats with both Boston and Gray, and neither of them have really touched on it so far. But I don't know, looks a little menacing.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of stretched out, and you do have some greens up against reds. I guess maybe the saving grace so far is that it's certainly some rotation, but maybe it's just not reaching that threshold of high enough rotation or strong enough rotation. So that's also a possibility. And that will happen in thunderstorms like this, where you do have some breakoffs, where you have some swirlies occurring. If you're ever out at the beach and you see when a wave, is departing the beachhead and it gets caught in some rocks and some jetties, it just will swirl. The atmosphere does the same thing, fluid dynamics. And so you get these little swirls that are occurring. And so not every time you see reds and greens does it automatically jump to tornado. But the fact that, if you were to trace it back to its roots, it certainly is a storm that has been capable of producing some significant rotation. So it may be a storm that has kind of maybe jumped its rotation out to the forward flank here. In any event, so again, New Ipswich, New Hampshire, you might have some winds gusting over 40, 45 miles per hour. And then down into the Ashby area as well, as it does look like you've got, as Josh pointed to, at least some coupling of the wind, the greens and the reds when they're up close like that. It is certainly what we define as some kind of rotation in that thunderstorm. And that portion of the thunderstorm back toward Ashby, that is considered being into the tornado warned portion of the storm, even though I think the core of the storm still back to the southwest. Looks like it's now clearing Baldwinville. So Baldwinville, I think you've come out of the concern. It would be basically right there on Winchendon, Ashburnham, and Gardner, right on 140. You can see it right here, these deep reds and then the pink coloring here. This is where you have the core of your thunderstorm. This is where you have some very heavy rain. You probably have some quarter-sized hail as well. You'll likely have wind, damaging wind, but it's a little bit difficult to discern if it's tornadic wind or straight line wind. But, if it's a straight line wind that knocks over a tree through a power pole versus a tornadic wind that knocks over a tree through a power pole, it still is, it's disruptive. It just gets a different name. So that's the concern certainly here. But again, tornado warning for portions of northern Worcester County and extreme northwest Middlesex County. That's in effect for about another 20 minutes or so. If you're watching us from Athol, you're okay. I think, Baldwinville, you're fine as well. Gardner, you're probably okay too, at least, from Route 2 south. You're probably okay in the Gardner area at the moment, because it looks like the strongest of the storm is passing just to the north of downtown Gardner itself. And then you can see over here we've got Westminster. Right now I think you're okay. Fitchburg's still watching for you as well as the storm continues to head off in this fashion here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. We'll see if it continues to show signs of weakening or strengthening. If we put this into motion, what's it doing? Let's see. No, I didn't want that one. I wanted this one. Yeah. Seems like it's maintaining, at least in terms of the reflectivity data. But in terms of the velocity, the other challenge we have too is it does begin to get a little farther away from, the radar beam only goes out so far, and as it goes out, it's getting higher up into the sky. So you might be sampling a higher portion of the storm, and maybe below the radar beam sampling this, you actually have the winds are a little stronger. But at this moment right here, it's showing some rotation, but it's not as strong of a signal as it was about 15, 20 minutes ago when it was moving into Worcester County, into the Athol area, as that continues to move off to the east-northeast. So Gardner, I think you're okay in terms of any tornadic activity. I think the rotation is safely off to your north and your east, but even still, sometimes you can get some gusty wind to come out the backside of a thunderstorm. But right now, that does not seem to be occurring in the Gardner area. So I think in the Gardner community, you're okay. I would be concerned, though, up in the Ashburnham area, as we still have some rotation showing up on the Doppler radar as that continues to move off to the north and the east at about 30 miles per hour. Farther north and east, this portion of the cell does look like it's trying to tighten up a little bit with rotation.
JR, that rotation we were talking about that was about to jump into New Hampshire, National Weather Service in gray has issued a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag till 4:30. So that's for Cheshire and Hillsborough County, but it's for that storm jumping over the state line right now. So it's a severe thunderstorm warning officially, but they're certainly watching that rotation.
So, Ryan Jadian, I felt like your mics were open, no?
Yes, we got you, JR.
Sorry, JR, we're just communicating with our producers here about the plan here for the afternoon, and we're talking about the continuous coverage here of the storms, and what's the latest information for us right now, JR?
All right, so, let me get back down into Worcester County, because that's why we started this whole thing to begin with.
What we're essentially looking at here is the most important key, the tornado warning, JR, which is radar indicated, which means we don't have any video evidence or a witness account of a tornado touching down, but we have radar indicated, and then we have that severe thunderstorm warning.
Correct. So we have tornado warning until 4:15 for northern Worcester County, if you are watching us from Gardner or Worcester in particular, big city, the city of Worcester, you're fine. You're not under the tornado warning. Gardner, you're still in the warned portion of Worcester County. But when I look at the radar right now, the storm is now lifted safely northeast of Gardner. So in the Gardner area in particular, I'm not as concerned as I was about 10 or 15 minutes ago. But where I do have the concern is basically from Wingenton, running down Highway 12 there through Ashburnham, and then perhaps northern Westminster, and then back up into Townsend and Ashby. Here's Ashby right here. There's Townsend. And so that would be really the concern right here is for this portion of the storm. Tornado warning for, as Jadian alluded to, radar indicated tornado warning where the radar has detected rotation. It was fairly strong back in Franklin County as well as when it came into Worcester County. It seems like it's lost some of its rotation, but we are getting damage reports back into Franklin County, Montague as well as Wendell. And so it's possible that that was from a tornado. And so because of that, that might still be a storm that is capable or still is producing a tornado. If you don't know what to do, interior room of your dwelling, basement is the best place. If you don't have a basement, your lowest interior room. A bathroom usually is that case. Stay away from the exterior walls because whether it's straight line wind or rotational tornadic wind hitting the building structure, obviously the exterior walls of the house or the apartment are exposed the greatest to those potentially strong and damaging wind gusts. Farther to the northeast, this is what Josh was chatting with myself, is that as a portion of this cell begins to work up into portions of New Hampshire, this is where we do have the possibility of some rotation as well. But right now, this portion of south central New Hampshire, which includes Hillsborough County as well as Cheshire County, just a little sliver right there of Cheshire County, but really it's Hillsborough County, that's a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30. Back to you guys.
And you are watching 7 News here first at 4 o'clock. We are continuing coverage here of a dangerous situation.
That's right. We're watching a tornado warning along with severe thunderstorm warnings. All of this popping up. We have Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Reiner in the Weather Center for us, tracking this moment by moment, JR, and you're also working in conjunction with your colleague, Josh Worcester. And so lay out for us right now at the top of the hour where we stand at this moment if our viewers are just joining us.
Okay, so here we go. We reset the table here. Tornado warning until 4:15 for this portion of Worcester County. It does not include the city of Worcester itself. It no longer concerns Athol and really Leominster as well. You're okay. It's basically just focused across portions of, now it's north central Worcester County. Tornado warning in effect until 4:15. This will continue to slide northeast. It is moving through northwest Middlesex County as well. So you see down here, the bottom of the screen, parts of Middlesex County. It's that part right there. It's basically Townsend and Ashby. That's the concern there in Middlesex County, is for the possibility of a tornado. Radar indicated tornado warning, where the radar indicated rotation as it was back into Franklin County, and then it moved into portions of northwest Worcester County and the Athol area in particular, and then has continued to slide north and east. It does look like it's weakened somewhat since we started this process, about 30 minutes ago, but still it is a dangerous storm, capable of producing a tornado, a dangerous storm, capable of producing quarter-sized hail, frequent lightning, and the likelihood of some brief heavy rain, although with our drought, I think we would welcome the heavy rain unless you're on one of those roadways up in northern Worcester County. That would be the concern. Farther to the north and the east, I'm just going to slide the radar up toward northeast, and you can see there that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for the northern end of the same storm that's in Worcester County. So you folks across portions of Hillsborough County and a tiny little sliver of Cheshire County right there in New Hampshire. A severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30, and this storm has to be monitored because the National Weather Service in Gray, Maine, once they cross state borders, then they hand over responsibility to a different Weather Service office. But the Weather Service office in Gray, Maine has said they reserve the right to upgrade this to a possible tornado warning based on the history of the storm as it continues to move through portions of Worcester County. Sometimes these storms will pulse up and down a little bit, and so if it comes back to life and starts to show strong rotation, then this would get upgraded to a tornado warning. But right now, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning with Milford, New Hampshire, not Mass, Milford, New Hampshire, as well as Mason, New Hampshire, New Ipswich, Brookline, New Hampshire, and possibly Hollis, although I think it's going to stay to the northwest of Hollis. Josh.
Yes, just looking at the National Weather Service chat in Gray, Maine. They are definitely acknowledging the rotation in the southern New Hampshire cell that we were talking about that just moved out of Ashby, just across the state line. They are basically, like you said, issuing a severe thunderstorm warning with the potential that it could be rotating. And then they say tornado possible in the warning, no doubt some rotation at the moment. They are watching to see if that couplet maybe tightens up a little bit before they would pull the pin on a full-on tornado warning, but it's definitely rotating.
Any damage reports out of northern Worcester County or?
No damage reports since we went through them at about 15 minutes ago. Most of them coming out of northeastern Franklin County, the Irving, Orange, Warwick, Montague, those areas.
Okay.
That's the damage reports that I've seen so far. And then the prior cells that went through New Hampshire, quite a few hail reports coming out of those. So probably a side impact of some of these storms as well, producing some wind gusts and some pretty large hail.
Okay, very good, awesome. So when we look at the velocity data, there's some kind of rotation between Ashburnham and Ashby. Right now, when I look at this, at this moment, it's not overly concerning, but there certainly is some rotation. It was stronger rotation back toward Athol about 30 minutes ago. And then farther to the north and the east, this actually looks like it's stretched out a little bit. And so often you'll hear a meteorologist on TV say, you know, green up against red, it's real trouble, get under the bed. If it's stretched out like this, it may not be a sign of rotation. You really look for more of a ball, like literally a tight signature of the rotation. So this might actually, this could just be some straight line wind that we see here, this signal down toward Brookline, New Hampshire. Maybe there's something down in here, though. Sometimes at the tail end, at the southern end of these little cells, that's sometimes where you can get some sneaky rotation.
Compared to a tornado, we always talk about the tree damage. Kind of talk a little bit about that, what that means when you say straight line winds.
So straight line winds is just that. It's the thunderstorm wind. Thunderstorm, it hits and it actually fans out. You know, the wind will fan out when it hits the ground. And then rotational wind damage is actually your wind damage path. Your damage, you'll actually see a path where trees are laying down in the opposite direction, and they're also brought inward because the wind is converging as the tornado goes through. Versus straight line wind, you'll have the trees lying down, but they're all kind of fanned out. And a way to visualize that on this hot day is get a water balloon, and you don't have to go up to the top of, you know, a building, but just, you know, take a water balloon outside, and then when you drop that water balloon and it hits, it splats out in all directions. And so that's sometimes what we'll see. We'll call that a microburst, a wet microburst. So that's kind of a crude visualization, but, you know, a water balloon splatting out is sometimes what you'll see thunderstorms do. So I'm not saying that that's what this is, but that could just be more of a straight line wind signature versus earlier where it certainly at that time looked like more rotational signature. And there is some, again, there is some subtle rotation here right on top of Townsend right now, but I would call it subtle. Again, this does not look like a strong signal for rotation at this time.
Just an update from the National Weather Service. They're going to continue the tornado warning. It goes until 4:15. They're going to ride it for about the next 8 minutes or so. And then they have decided to not reissue it as the rotation is becoming broader. And we're running into the issue of what state is this falling into. So the National Weather Service in Boston is going to, as of now, they think they're going to leave it go until 4:15 and then perhaps extend it with a severe thunderstorm warning. But that's the thought process right now.
Okay. Well, I guess that's good in the sense that there's not a, can we go over to graphics 1? So there's not a strong enough signal to be concerned about this becoming a foregone conclusion that we carry this over into southern New Hampshire. But it is a challenge because you got the state border right here, and that's essentially where the National Weather Service in Taunton hands over the reins to the National Weather Service up in Gray, Maine. And so then from there, I mean, they coordinate, they talk, they have each other's cells, but they will coordinate and say, okay, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then, so the Weather Service in Gray, Maine, this is when they issued this warning here, this thunderstorm warning. They put a tag on it called tornado, meaning that it's going to be issued under a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's possible it could get upgraded to a tornado warning just because based on the history where the cell originated back in Franklin County in Massachusetts as a tornado warning. So as this continues to lift off to the north and the east, it actually does look like it might be trying to tighten up a little bit there, right up in here, right in the Ashby area. So this is still under the tornado warning until 4:15. So Mason, New Hampshire, New Ipswich, Ashby in particular, though, Townsend, I would be mindful that you've got a pretty potent cell passing over your neighborhood right now, and it's possible that this still could be producing a funnel cloud or a tornado, although we haven't had any fresh reports since about Athol of anything being spotted as a tornado, either from Skywarn or law enforcement or social media. I mean, say what you want about it, but at least in this day and age, you have with everyone's cell phone cameras, you have so many more eyeballs on a storm now than you did, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So right now, the social media feeds are not showing any kind of a tornado up in that area, but it does still kind of have like a pseudo hook look to it up in the Ashby and Ashburnham area. When we look at the velocity data, you got a couple areas of concern. You got one over here near Townsend, and then you got another area of concern farther to the west, although it's a little bit weaker in the Ashby area right there. So that's why we still have that tornado warning for about another 5 minutes, unless the National Weather Service in Gray, Maine is going to extend it as it comes up into New Hampshire. Josh?
All right.
Brian?
No more damage reports coming in from the National Weather Service. I think they're waiting until the tornado warning hits 4:15 until they decide what to do with it from here on out. But I haven't seen any other damage reports come in, either on the chat or on social media either. Okay. It looks like they may have extended the severe thunderstorm warning for southern New Hampshire past Interstate 93. I can zoom out for you. So this is a new severe thunderstorm warning. It's going to take it past 93. I guess
unless it's that cell there.
Manchester area. So it's that guy.
Okay.
That one is going to go until...
That is till 5:15.
5:15, yep. And that one is just for strong winds and hail, no rotating threat.
Okay.
With that one. But that's the new warning out from the National Weather Service in Great Maine. Okay.
All right. So it seems like a lot of the activity has been focused to our north. We did have this one cell that got going back across portions of Franklin County, and damage reports out toward Montague and Wendell, and then a portion of Route 2 West in Irving, which is in Franklin County, shut down because of numerous trees down. Josh had a report wind gusts out at the Orange Airport upwards of 60 miles per hour. So the storm certainly has a history of wind damage and strong wind, and it's possible that at least back in Franklin County, those wind reports actually tied to a possible tornado. Again, radar indicated tornado warning from the jump. Meaning the Doppler radar has been looking up into this thunderstorm and detecting rotation for about the last 30 to 45 minutes. And we've got about another 3 minutes to go here to see if this warning, this warning will be allowed to expire in Massachusetts. And then the question is, will a new tornado warning be issued up across southern New Hampshire by the National Weather Service up in Gray? Whether it is or not, excuse me, you have a strong thunderstorm, which is basically the tail end here is now Ashby and Townsend. This continues to lift off to the north and the east. It is capable of some large hail. You may have some winds gusting between 50 and 60 miles per hour. You possibly have a tornado, although I don't think that's the case right now in Ashby. But technically, it still is under a tornado warning in Ashby and Townsend for the next couple of minutes as this continues to move off to the north and the east over the next, well, it's moving northeast at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Then as it moves up into Hillsborough County, New Hampshire, that would be the concern to see if it re-strengthens or if it weakens moving north and east. And then we do have that severe thunderstorm warning up in the Manchester, New Hampshire area. That's in effect until 5:15.
Watching the time here, we know at 4:15 we most likely will drop this tornado warning, correct? The National Weather Service is from the...
Yeah, Josh said that they...
Oh, no, nothing.
I saw you coming with a phone. I'm like, oh, stand by.
No update. I think good news. I was watching the velocity, the rotation of the cell up in southern New Hampshire that went through Brookline, and that seems to really have broadened out.
Okay.
So severe thunderstorm warning, but not tornado warning.
Okay. Yeah, so Ryan, so about 5 minutes ago, Josh said he was reading information from the Weather Service in Gray, and they were going to tag this as a thunderstorm warning. And then he read from the Weather Service in Taunton that said that warning would be allowed to expire here in Massachusetts, but it was a bit of a grayish issue. Excuse the pun, because it's Gray, Maine, the office. They have to hand over responsibility to a different Weather Service office to monitor the same storm. And so right now, it does look like that warned storm up in northwest Middlesex County. By the way, in Worcester County, I think you're okay. I don't see anything in Worcester County. And okay, so I bet you that's the new thunderstorm warning, isn't it, Josh, right there?
Brand new severe thunderstorm warning. They have pulled any tornado tag off of it, which is good. Wind still, though, gusting up to 60 miles an hour, hail up to an inch. And that extends through Worcester County, Middlesex County, and over to, must just be a sliver of Essex County.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and even Worcester County, I mean, for that particular storm, it looks like it's about, I'm going to guess, maybe 5 square miles of Ashburnham. It's just, in terms of Worcester County, it's this right here. So maybe it's a little more than 5 square miles. Maybe it's about 10 square miles. That's it in terms of Worcester County. And, oh, look, here we are, 4:15, and the red box is gone. So a tornado warning brought down. Okay, so that's the good news there. I think we can return to DEFCON 4. How's that? DEFCON 5 is peace.
Confirm, JR, the National Weather Service in Gray, Maine for that severe thunderstorm warning is continuing with just severe thunderstorm warning from now on. Okay.
All right, so there you go. I think that's a wrap. Hopefully everyone survived. Hopefully there's no damage out there in Worcester County. If there is, I hope it's nothing serious, but if it's safe to send us a picture of your damage, please do. You can also tag the Skywarn Twitter handle as well. Because Skywarn is a great asset for us on days like today, where they help us to gather the storm damage and then relay that back to the Weather Service as well as the media and get that out to you folks. Now, closer to Metro Boston, real quick before we get back to regular scheduled newscasting. Boston to Worcester is pretty quiet. It's hot. It's wicked hot. But a lot of the storm activity looks like it's staying to the north of the Mass Pike. And I think this is probably going to pivot through like this over the next 2 to 4 hours. And so I would think that Boston-Worcester, there's probably not much that's going to happen this afternoon. Obviously, as soon as I say that, it'll, everything will probably break loose. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch until 8 p.m. for the area shaded in pink. It does not include the city of Boston. But still, it's possible there will be enough ingredients left over in the atmosphere that we have another flaring up or another firing of an isolated shower storm. And this will not be something that goes all night long. I think once this little broken wave comes through, 6, 7, maybe 8 o'clock, I think that'll be it. So with that, I think I'll send it back to you guys, and then we'll start talking about the heat.
Okay, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Reiner, along with your colleague Josh Worcester, carrying us through that tornado warning now, severe thunderstorm warning.
Another big